Hi, good afternoon, everybody. I am Yuri Torres, and today I'm presenting to you the work entitled Largo dos Contos in Ouro Preto, Brazil, from methodological to interventional practices in small historical public spaces. I wrote this together with Professor Alice Viana. Alice and I are professors and also coordinators of the Plus Ultra Research and Extension Group, based in the Federal University of Ouro Preto in the UNESCO town of the same name. Founded during the gold rush in Brazil and famous worldwide for its well-preserved colonial and Baroque architecture. Since 2014, Ouro Preto became our laboratory for both teaching, research, and more recently, extension projects in a partnership with local authorities, advising the municipality how to carry out urban diagnosis and proposing requalification projects. So basically, we concentrate our work in evaluating and designing public open space in historical context. Largo dos Contos, the case study we are presenting to you today, is a central and important square in Ouro Preto that is directly connected to the main hub of commerce and is very relevant to the local community. But unfortunately, like anywhere in the old town, the square is densely occupied by cars, negatively impacting its beautifully built landscape and leaving very little space for pedestrians on its narrow sidewalks. So this work aims to develop a framework of combined post-occupancy evaluation methods for guiding interventions on these and other small historical open public spaces where heritage preservation and contemporary demands and conflicts represent a challenge for both citizens and public authorities. So our work in this presentation is structured as follows. First, we give you an initial and summarized historical and current contextualization of Largo dos Contos. Second, we present the selection of methodologies, the authors we used as a reference for this work, followed by the results of all these methodologies combined, and succeeded by our design proposal. Finally, we conclude with our findings and discussions. About Largo dos Contos, as we can see from the pictures, is a dry, triangular-shaped square that preserves a significant number of heritage-listed buildings and the historically built landscape, with typical elements of Portuguese and Baroque architecture from the colonial era. Within 3 centuries of existence, the place suffered many interventions due to economical but also technological changes. Some other interventions were also stylistic. At the same time that Largo dos Contos is a key point and a circulation hub in the town, it is also a very symbolic place, with great importance for cultural life, with many ephemeral events taking place there throughout the year, from religious processions to carnival. But daily life in the square is difficult for both users and visitors. Unfortunately, this it is densely occupied by cars in a chaotic way, with very little regulation, while pedestrians juggle on its narrow sidewalks and do not find there any contemplation or recreation opportunities. Due to its clear complexity, the square needed to be mapped and analyzed through different perspectives. Because of the lack of official and updated data provided by the municipality, the research group had to employ simple evaluation methods that did not require any use of complex equipment, but that could be accurately enough to survey and document local strengths and weaknesses. So we opted to combine multiple post-occupancy assessments, mobility diagnosis, and base our analysis in accordance with theoretical approaches of landscape conservation, such as number one, post-occupancy evaluation assessment based on the work of Cooper, Marcus, and Francis. Second, the observational tools that is part of the public life protocol developed by the Gall Institute. Three, the walkability measurement tool from the Brazilian adapted version of ITDP, Institute for Transportation and Development Policy. And finally, through the lens of contemporary theories of Munoz Vinas, to consider some possible interventions in accordance with the heritage. We mapped and quantified all the physical components, observing how these elements could support or discourage the user's experience. As a result, we highlight the amount of obstacles observed and the complete absence of formal seats and benches. So we notice people basically standing, chatting in small groups, usually leaning against the facades of the building, near the curb, or between the parked vehicles, which demonstrates the expressive use of the space for social activities and interactions. We also observed and mapped people informally sitting on surfaces such as staircases, steps, edges of buildings, or low window sills, elements that Gell defines as secondary seating options. As we can see in the map, the higher concentration was observed in front of the cinema and in the public building ministry. Although they are public institutions, the cinema is currently closed for renovations, and the public ministry building is not much demanded by the population on daily basis. Additionally, they are the only places in the square to offer good staircase where people can sit, rest, and interact with each other. We were also able to statistically demonstrate that vehicular occupation is more privileged, taking more than 80% of the total surface of the square, 37% for parking, and 43% for circulation, leaving little space for all other kinds of pedestrian use. This disproportion compromises the contemplation of the historical buildings and the water fountain, at the same time that it leaves very poor conditions for pedestrians and impacts potential permanent activities such as recreation and socialization. When monitoring pedestrian behavior, the insufficient dimension of the sidewalks and the lack of formal crossings resulted in a very confusing and unsafe way of experiencing the space, especially by locals, who avoid walking in the sidewalks in front of busy shops, for example. As we can see in the dark and red orange line in the map, pedestrians put themselves in risky situations in search of an alternative and more direct routes. The application of ITDP mobility assessment tool also evidenced some key issues, such as the narrow dimension of the sidewalks, the poor public lighting that reflects on the scarcity of night uses, the lack of elements of shelter from the sun and the rain, as well as non-mobility support equipment such as paracycle and strategies of safe crossings for pedestrians. Some of these issues, as we perceived it, could be easily addressed in a physical redesign of the space, creating safe crossings at the specific pointings, planning a new lighting scheme that enlarging the sidewalks. Some other, though, would need more active participation of all local stakeholders, such as the promotion of more night uses for the space. Nevertheless, we believe that larger sidewalks, better lighting, and more efficient managing of parking and car circulation could create a more attractive ambience for night uses and appropriation. Using the results from these combined methodologies, Plus Ultra developed an interventional proposal for Lago dos Contos. This intervention was based not only in a direct response to the physical diagnosis and the observation of the local dynamics to bring solutions to the main problems detected, but it was also based in comprehending the limited capacity of the government not only to implement radical and costly interventions, but also for their later maintenance. So, as we witness the great difficulties of the municipality facing maintenance other public spaces, we finally suggested a more modest proposal, easy to be implemented, easy to maintain, capable of changing the space for better, but avoiding big unsustainable transformations. We then thought we equalize the new demands identified, disciplining car parking, improving pedestrian circulation, all of this without compromising the commercial dynamism. We also proposed the creation of space for day-to-day small concerts and other cultural manifestations, while giving more room for the appreciation of the 18th century water fountain. We felt that these punctual interventions combined not only highlight the historical value of the Largo, but consequently contribute to the better preservationist practice by embracing its users. The proposal was received with enthusiasm by the municipality, and it's yet to be discussed in a broader audience. As a result, we are able to statistically demonstrate that cars are more privileged, compromising the contemplation of the heritage and leaving poor conditions for pedestrian mobility and for permanent activities such as socialization. We also noticed that the methods that we selected and used in this study are flexible enough to be applied in public open spaces of small historical cities in the global south, in realities of low professional qualification, limited resources and data, or sophisticated equipment, and can be performed by a team of non-specialists such as a group of young students or technicians. And also the results enabled us to develop more assertive guidelines for a redesign proposal. Thank you very much for your attention, and we look forward to seeing you soon in Ouro Preto. If you have any questions or would like to know more about the work we are doing, feel free to contact us at the following email or in our social media.